Captain Lisa Howard looked out the window of her office at the Earth Defense Fleet headquarters. The blue sky was clear, just another normal day. Then her phone rang. "Captain, you need to come to the command center now," said the voice of her second-in-command, Jack Bennett. "What's going on?" she asked. Something big just appeared in orbit. Really big. 10 minutes later, Lisa stood in front of the main screen, staring at what could only be described as a massive spaceship. It was silver and shaped like a stretched diamond, with strange blue lights pulsing along its sides. It was bigger than anything humans had ever built. "It's broadcasting on all frequencies," said the communications officer, "in 53 different Earth languages." "What's it saying?" Lisa asked. "Just one sentence, on repeat. We come in peace and with an offer." Within hours, leaders from around the world gathered. The alien ship sent down a small shuttle to meet with them. From it emerged Ambassador Zorthal, a tall figure with blue skin and 6 eyes arranged in a circle on its face. 2 other aliens flanked the ambassador, each carrying strange devices that Lisa guessed were either weapons or translation tools. "Greetings, people of Earth," Zorthal said, its voice surprisingly smooth and deep. "I represent the Galactic Council, an alliance of 27 spacefaring species." President Alan Grant stepped forward. "We welcome you to Earth. Your arrival is unexpected. We have been observing your planet for some time," Zorthal said. "We have come because we need your help." The room fell silent. Lisa felt a chill run down her spine. The most advanced beings they had ever encountered needed help from humans. Zorthal explained that the galaxy was divided by a war that had gone on for centuries. The Galactic Council fought against another alliance led by the Xorians, a species made of living silicon. The war followed strict rules and traditions. "We have watched your species," Zorthal said. "You fight differently than any species we have encountered. You are unpredictable." "Is that good?" President Grant asked. "It is useful," the alien replied. "We offer you advanced technology, faster than light travel, and protection. In exchange, we ask for your military advice and a small number of your soldiers." After 3 days of global discussions, Earth's leaders agreed to the deal, with conditions. They would send advisors and limited troops, but Earth would remain independent. Lisa Howard was chosen to be the military liaison, and Dr. John Murphy, a former Navy SEAL who had become a scientist studying alien life, would be the diplomatic representative. 1 month later, Lisa and John stood in a hangar looking at their new ship. It was small by alien standards, but far more advanced than anything on Earth. "Are you ready for this?" John asked. He was tall with dark hair and a serious face that rarely smiled. "To be the first humans to see the galaxy. To join an alien war." "Not really," Lisa admitted. She ran her hand through her short brown hair, a nervous habit. "But someone has to do it." The ship hummed to life around them. Zorthal sat at controls that moved without being touched. "We will reach the Council headquarters in 3 days," the alien said. "There you will meet the Supreme Command and learn about the conflict." As Earth disappeared from view, replaced by a field of stars, Lisa felt both excitement and worry. The aliens had chosen humans because of how they fought wars, but they didn't seem to understand what that really meant. "They think they want our help," she whispered to John. "I'm not sure they know what they're getting." John nodded. "Humans don't fight wars like a game with rules. We fight to win." The stars streaked past as their ship jumped to faster-than-light speed. Lisa Howard, the first human military officer to leave the solar system, watched as her home vanished behind her. Whatever waited ahead would change everything, not just for Earth, but possibly for the entire galaxy. The Galactic Council headquarters took Lisa's breath away. It was a massive space station built around a neutron star, using its gravity for power. Ships of all shapes and sizes moved around it like fish in a giant pond. "This is just the outer ring," Zorthal explained as their ship docked. The station extends inward for 20 levels. Lisa and John followed the blue-skinned ambassador through wide halls filled with aliens of every description. Some had many limbs, others floated instead of walking, and a few seemed to be made of light rather than matter. "The war room is this way," Zorthel said, leading them to a large round chamber. Around a holographic display stood the military leaders of the council. General Kolvak, the supreme commander, towered over the others. He had a hard, armored body and eyes that glowed yellow. "So these are the humans," he said, his voice coming from a translator at his neck. "They look soft." "We may surprise you," Lisa replied with a smile. For the next several hours, Lisa and John watched recordings of recent battles against the Xorians. What they saw confused them. Both sides lined up their ships in formal patterns. They announced their attacks before making them. There were pauses in fighting for what appeared to be rest periods. "I don't understand," Lisa finally said. "Why do you tell them what you're going to do?" The aliens looked at her strangely. "It is proper war conduct," General Kolvak explained. "The Galactic War Convention has guided all conflicts for 12,000 years. John leaned forward. "You have rules for war." "Of course," said another alien commander, this one with 4 arms and green skin. "War without rules is just savagery. Battles must occur in designated zones. Civilian deaths are forbidden. Certain weapons cannot be used." Lisa and John exchanged glances. This wasn't war as humans knew it. This was more like a game with deadly consequences. "What about surprise attacks?" Lisa asked. "Deception. Changing your strategy based on the enemy's weakness." The room grew quiet. General Kolvak's glowing eyes narrowed. "Those would be dishonorable tactics. War is a gentleman's game." That night, in their assigned quarters, Lisa and John tried to make sense of what they had learned. "They fight wars like old-time European armies," John said. "Everyone in bright colors, standing in lines, shooting at each other in the open." "It's madness," Lisa replied. "No wonder they're not winning. The Xorians know exactly what they're going to do every time." The next day, they learned why the council had really sought out humans. A council member named Telv, with pale skin and large wise eyes, showed them secret reports. "The Xorians have discovered a new power source," Telv explained. "In 6 months, their ships will be faster than ours. In a year, they could win the war." "And you think humans can help?" John asked. "Your species' history is filled with examples of weaker forces defeating stronger ones through unusual methods," Telv said. "We need that thinking now." Lisa spent days studying the Xorians' battle patterns. They were even more rigid than the council forces. They valued tradition above all else. "I think I see a way," she told the council leaders at their next meeting. "But you won't like it." "What do you propose?" General Kolvak asked. "We need to fight in ways they won't expect. No announcements, no formations. We strike from hiding, retreat, and strike again somewhere else." The aliens murmured among themselves. One finally spoke up. "But that's not how war is conducted." "It is how humans conduct it," Lisa said firmly. "And it's how you'll win." General Kolvak stood silent for a long moment. "Very well," he finally said. "We will try your human ways. But I warn you, this changes everything about war as we know it." Lisa nodded. "That's exactly the point." 3 months later, Major Sam Carter stood on the bridge of the Council battleship Eternal Light. Next to him, Lieutenant Kate Miller studied the star map showing their mission area. They led 50 human soldiers, the first combat deployment in the war against the Xorians. "The fuel depot orbits the third moon," explained Captain Realm, the ship's commander. His skin was deep purple, and he had no hair on his tall, thin body. "We will approach in standard formation. The Xorians have 100 ships to our 70, but our ships are larger." Sam looked at the planned approach. It was exactly what he would not do. "Captain, with respect, this plan puts us at risk. They'll see us coming from far away." "Of course they will," Realm said, confused. That is proper battle procedure. Kate stepped forward. What if we used the second moon's shadow to hide our approach? We could split our forces, create confusion. The alien officers looked uncomfortable. One of them, Commander Zex, shook his head. That would be most improper. The Exorians would think very poorly of us. Sam tried again. I understand your traditions, but we're here because those traditions aren't winning the war. Let us try a different approach. After much argument, Captain Relin agreed to let the humans modify the plan slightly. The main fleet would approach as normal, but Sam's team would take 3 smaller ships around the far side of the moon. When the battle began, it went exactly as Sam had feared. The Exorians were ready for the main fleet. Their ships formed a perfect counter formation. The Council ships began taking heavy damage. They're following the standard defense pattern from the war manual, Captain Realm said as his ship shook from a direct hit. Very proper. Call General Kulvak, Sam urged. Let us fully implement our plan before it's too late. The general's face appeared on the screen. Report. We're losing ships too quickly, Realm admitted. The humans wish to use their methods. After a pause, Kulvak nodded. Do it, but remember the rules about civilian targets. Sam took command of the operation. He ordered the human-led ships to create false transmissions that made it seem like the Council fleet was retreating. Then, while the Exorians were distracted, they attacked from multiple directions at once. The Exorians, never having faced such tactics, didn't know how to respond. Their neat formations fell apart as they tried to defend from attacks coming from unexpected angles. Keep changing your approach vectors, Sam told the pilots. Don't establish any pattern they can predict. Kate's team hacked into the Exorian communication system and sent confusing orders. Some enemy ships began firing on each other by mistake. Within 2 hours, the battle had completely turned around. The Exorian fleet retreated, leaving the fuel depots secure. The Council had lost 12 ships to the Exorians' 35. Back on the Eternal Light, the mood was mixed. They had won, but many of the alien officers seemed troubled. You won by cheating, Commander Zex said to Sam, his voice low. We won by fighting smart, Sam corrected. War isn't about taking turns. It's about achieving your objective while preserving as many of your people as possible. Captain Reln approached, looking thoughtful. Your methods are disturbing, but effective. The Exorians will report this to their high command. Good, Kate said. Let them worry about what we'll do next. Later, Sam and Kate sent their report to Lisa Howard at Council headquarters. Her reply was quick. Well done, but be prepared. The Council is deeply conflicted about your victory, and the Exorians are already demanding a formal protest under the War Convention. Sam looked at Kate. They're upset because we won. No, Kate replied. They're upset because we changed the rules of a game they've been playing for 12,000 years. And that scares them more than losing. News of the humans' unusual victory spread quickly through the Council. 2 weeks after the fuel depot battle, Lisa Howard found herself standing before the Supreme Command. 7 alien leaders sat at a curved table, with General Kulvak in the center. This tactical report is troubling, said Admiral Vreen, a small 4-armed alien with pale blue skin. The humans used deception and attacked without proper notification. But they won, Kulvak pointed out, with fewer losses than expected. Victory at the cost of honor is no victory, argued another commander. Lisa stepped forward. With respect, where I come from, bringing your soldiers home alive is the highest honor. After hours of debate, the Supreme Command reached a decision. Lisa would be given command of a mixed battalion, 300 human soldiers and 700 Council troops. Their mission: reclaim a mining colony that the Exorians had captured 6 months earlier. John Murphy pulled Lisa aside after the meeting. They're testing us, he said. If we fail, they'll say our methods don't work. If we succeed, they'll still be uncomfortable. Lisa finished. but they'll use us anyway. The mining colony orbited a large gas giant. Its 3 levels were built into a small moon, with the valuable mineral processing plants on the lowest level. According to Council intelligence, the Xorians had 2,000 troops stationed there. Lisa gathered her human officers for planning. The Council commanders expect us to announce our arrival and engage in a direct assault, she explained. We're not going to do that. Instead, she divided their forces into small teams. Each team would have both human and alien soldiers. The humans would teach the aliens about camouflage, stealth, and coordination. We attack at night, Lisa told the Council officers, who looked confused. Night has no meaning in space, one pointed out. It does on the colony, Lisa explained. They reduce lighting to conserve power during their rest cycle. We'll use that. Many of the alien soldiers struggled with the concepts Lisa's team taught. The idea of hiding, of not announcing your presence, went against everything they had learned about honorable combat. In my 300 years of military service, said Commander Lorix, a veteran with scale-like skin, I have never painted my armor to blend with surroundings. It feels shameful. Would you rather die in bright, shiny armor or live in camouflage? Asked Lisa. The night of the attack, the Council ships approached with engines at minimal power. No announcements were made. No formations were created. The Xorians, expecting the usual formal approach, were caught unprepared. Lisa led the first team onto the colony. They moved silently through maintenance tunnels, disabling security systems as they went. Other teams entered through emergency airlocks and cargo bays. The Xorians, crystal-like beings that glowed from within, were visible in the darkness, while the camouflaged Council forces were not. The battle that followed was quick and decisive. Most shocking to the Council soldiers was Lisa's willingness to change plans when unexpected resistance was met. When one team found their path blocked, they immediately shifted to a different route without waiting for orders. But the battle plan, one Council officer protested, is just a starting point, Lisa explained. No plan survives contact with the enemy. Within 6 hours, the colony was recaptured. The Council forces suffered just 23 casualties. Over 500 Xorians were captured, with minimal deaths. As Lisa filed her report to headquarters, Ambassador Zorthal came to see her. The Supreme Command is pleased with the outcome, he said, but many Council members are concerned. They say humans fight like predators, without honor or restraint. We fight to win, Lisa said simply. Isn't that the point? Perhaps, Zorthal replied. But I wonder if you understand what you're changing. These ways of war have defined our civilizations for millennia. 3 months after the mining colony victory, the war reached a turning point. The Xorians had begun to adapt to some human tactics. They no longer always followed the traditional battle patterns. They had learned to be more careful. Lisa sat in the war room at Council headquarters, studying reports from the front lines. John Murphy entered, looking worried. We have a problem, he said. The Xorians have captured Research Station Zeta. Lisa looked up quickly. Isn't that where they were developing those new bioweapons? John nodded. If the Xorians figure out how they work, they could use them against civilian worlds. General Kolvac called an emergency meeting of all top commanders. The station had to be recaptured intact. Any damage to the containment systems could release the bioweapons. We need a direct assault with our strongest ships, suggested one Council commander. We will announce our approach and demand surrender. The Xorians will never agree, said another. They will destroy the station rather than give it up. Lisa had been quiet, thinking. Now she spoke up. What if we don't attack at all? All eyes turned to her. Explain, said Kolvac. The Xorians expect us to attack. So we don't. Instead, we use what humans call psychological warfare. The plan was unlike anything the Council had ever considered. First, human communication experts created fake messages that appeared to come from Xorian High Command. These messages suggested that certain Xorian commanders were secretly working with the Council. Next, they projected holographic images of a massive fleet gathering near the station. But the fleet wasn't real. "This is dishonest," complained one council officer. "It is beneath our dignity." "Would you rather have dignity or victory?" Lisa asked. For 2 weeks, they fed false information to the Xorians at the station. They sent messages about made-up plots and betrayals. They created fake sensor readings showing dangers that weren't there. The Xorians, never having faced such tactics, began to turn on each other. Their commanders became suspicious of everyone. Their troops were confused and afraid. Lisa watched from the command ship as their plan unfolded. "They're starting to break," she told her team. "Now for the final push." They sent one last message, seemingly from the Xorian Supreme Leader, ordering an immediate withdrawal from the station due to traitors in the ranks. Within hours, Xorian ships began leaving the station. They were in disarray, some fighting among themselves. The Council forces moved in and secured the station without firing a single shot. The victory was complete. The bioweapons were safe. Not one life was lost on either side. But when Lisa returned to report on the mission, the mood at headquarters was strange. The Council members were quiet, almost afraid. Elder Thex, the oldest member of the Galactic Council, spoke to Lisa privately after her report. His skin was wrinkled and pale, his 4 eyes cloudy with age. "For 12,000 years, we have fought the Xorians," he said. "We have killed their soldiers. They have killed ours. But always with respect, always with honor. We saved lives today." Lisa pointed out. "Isn't that better than honor?" "Perhaps," Thex said. "But what you did, you attacked their minds. Their trust in each other. You broke something inside them." He looked directly at her. "That is more frightening than any weapon." Later, Lisa found John in their shared office. "They're scared of us," she said. "Not the Xorians. The Council." John nodded. "I've been hearing things. Some Council species are suggesting that humans are too dangerous to be full members of galactic society. We're helping them win," Lisa said. "Yes," John replied. "And that's what scares them most. They're afraid of what winning this way might cost them, and what might happen if we ever fought against them." Lisa looked out at the stars. "They invited us into their war. They can't complain about how we fight it, can't they?" John asked quietly. "I wonder what happens next." The news of research station Zeta's bloodless recapture spread quickly throughout the galaxy. For the first time in thousands of years, the Xorians seemed genuinely afraid. Not of defeat. They had been defeated many times before, but of how they were defeated. 1 month later, they responded with a massive attack. Hundreds of Xorian ships appeared near key Council worlds. But something was different. They didn't announce their arrival. They didn't form the traditional battle lines. "They're trying to copy our tactics," Sam Carter told Lisa over an emergency call. "But they don't really understand them." The results were chaos. Without the restraint of their traditional rules, the Xorians attacked with full force. Their technology was superior, and now they were using it without the limitations of ritual warfare. 3 Council worlds suffered heavy damage. Thousands died, including civilians, something unheard of in the gentlemanly war of the past. "This is your fault," shouted Admiral Vreen at an emergency council meeting. "The humans have turned a civilized conflict into true war." General Kulvak stood firm. "The humans are helping us win. The Xorians are simply adjusting their strategy." "At what cost?" asked another council member. "For 12,000 years, war has been predictable. Safe, in its way. Now it is becoming something terrible." Lisa listened to the arguments, feeling the weight of responsibility. John Murphy sat beside her, taking notes. After the meeting, John found Lisa staring out at the stars. "I've been thinking," he said. "These species have been fighting for so long, they'd forgotten how to stop." "What do you mean?" Lisa asked. "They expect this war to go on for centuries more. Small victories, small defeats, but never an end. It's part of their culture now. John paused. What if we showed them something else humans know how to do? What's that? Make peace. The idea seemed absurd at first. The Council and Saurians had been enemies for millennia. But as John explained his plan, Lisa began to see its potential. The next day, they proposed something unprecedented to the Supreme Command: direct peace negotiations with the Saurians. Negotiate. General Kulvak seemed confused by the concept. The war is not over. That's exactly the point, John explained. On Earth, enemies often negotiate while still fighting. It's how wars end without total destruction of one side. Wars are not meant to end, said one commander. They are meant to be managed. Despite resistance, the recent escalation in Saurian attacks convinced enough council members to try this human approach. John worked with the diplomatic corps to craft a message to the Saurian leadership. They proposed a meeting on neutral ground. No weapons, no armies, just leaders talking directly to each other. For weeks, there was no response. Then, surprisingly, the Saurians agreed. The meeting took place on an uninhabited moon. Lisa and John accompanied the council representatives. The Saurians arrived in their crystalline forms, beautiful but alien. We have been enemies since before your species learned to make fire, said the Saurian leader, a towering crystal being named Crystallarch Zix. Why should we change now? Because war is changing anyway, Lisa replied, and not for the better. John stepped forward. On Earth, we learned that true strength isn't in how well you fight, but in knowing when to stop fighting. The negotiations were difficult. Thousands of years of hatred couldn't be erased in days, but the humans introduced concepts unfamiliar to both sides: compromise, mutual concessions, and face-saving measures that allowed both sides to claim some victory. After a week, something remarkable happened. The Saurians and council representatives began talking directly to each other, not through intermediaries. They began to find common ground. I never thought I would see this, Zorthel told Lisa privately. Saurians and council members sharing meals, discussing future trade. Humans don't just change how wars are fought, Lisa said. We change how they end. As the negotiations progressed, a growing sense of possibility filled the room. But in private, council members still watched the humans with uncertainty and fear. 1 month after the peace talks began, the impossible happened. The Galactic Council and the Saurian Alliance signed a peace treaty. After 12,000 years of continuous war, the fighting stopped. Lisa Howard stood with John Murphy as the leaders from both sides met on the neutral moon for the signing ceremony. The room was filled with representatives from dozens of species. I never thought I would live to see this day, said Ambassador Zorthal. For my entire life, and the lives of my ancestors going back countless generations, we have been at war. The peace agreement included trade deals, shared research, and even cultural exchanges. But there was one section that caught Lisa by surprise when she first read it. Article 47, added at the last minute by both the Council and Saurian leadership. Humans shall be permanently prohibited from participating in any future galactic conflicts. Their methods, while effective, threaten the established order of civilized warfare. They're banning us from war. Lisa asked General Kulvak after the ceremony. After we helped you win. Not from war, Kulvak corrected. From all galactic conflicts. And we did not win. We made peace. There is a difference. I don't understand, Lisa said. We helped you. We saved lives. Yes, the general replied. And that is precisely why you are dangerous. You showed us that everything we believed about warfare for thousands of years was wrong. That is unsettling. 3 weeks later, Lisa and John returned to Earth as heroes. They were greeted by President Grant and a crowd of cheering people. Earth had been invited to join the Galactic Council as a full member, with the single restriction that humans could never serve in military roles. In the Oval Office, Lisa explained the situation to the president. They're not afraid of our weapons or our technology. They're afraid of how we think. Explain, President Grant said. To them, war was a permanent state, something that had always existed and always would. It had rules and traditions. Nobody really expected to win or lose completely. Lisa paused. Then we showed up and broke all the rules. We showed them that wars could be won decisively. And then we showed them wars could end. And that frightened them. John nodded. They've built their entire civilizations around the idea of eternal, manageable conflict. We showed them another way, and it shook the foundations of their society. President Grant looked thoughtful. So what are our options? We can join the galactic community as scientists, traders, diplomats, artists. Anything but soldiers, Lisa said. Or we can refuse and stay isolated. What do you recommend? Lisa and John exchanged glances. We should join them, Lisa said. We've already changed their understanding of war. Maybe we can teach them other things too. 1 year later, Lisa stood on the observation deck of the New Earth Embassy on the Council homeworld. Human doctors were working with alien scientists on medical breakthroughs. Human artists were sharing music and paintings with fascinated alien audiences. Human engineers were helping design new types of ships and buildings. Ambassador Zorthal joined her at the window. Your people have adapted well to galactic society. We're good at that, Lisa replied. Adapting is one of our strengths. Along with changing the rules, Zorthal added. Lisa smiled. Is that why we're still banned from your military? Yes, the ambassador said honestly. But perhaps that is for the best. You have shown us that there are better things than war. As the alien walked away, Lisa looked out at the stars. Humans had been banned from galactic war not because they were weak, but because they were too effective. They had ended a conflict that had lasted 12,000 years in less than a year. Not bad for primitive Earthlings, she whispered to herself. In all the galaxy, only humans had the strange honor of being too good at warfare to be allowed to practice it.